Okay, it's 6:30 and time to get started. This is the Tuesday, November 14th, Murray City Municipal Council meeting, and I'd like to welcome everybody here. And I love all the uniforms. Oh my goodness, you guys all look so handsome. It's such fun when one of the fire or the police are receiving awards, then you all come, and we love to have you here, so thanks for being here. Also, I'd like to welcome those who are joining us online, and just remind you, if you have cell phones, to please turn them off. Our opening ceremonies include, first, the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Dale Cox to conduct that. In a couple of months, he'll be joining us up here on the dais. So.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dale. Also, we have the approval of two sets of council meeting minutes. They are October 17th special meeting and October 17th council meeting. So I would like to take them together. Are there questions or comments about these minutes?
I'll make a motion. We approve minutes from October 17th special meeting and the council meeting October 17th.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Also, I'd like to indicate that all council members are present. And now we come to our special recognition area. And to begin with, I think we have some scouts, right? I would like those scouts to introduce themselves, also introduce the leaders and the badge number, their badge number and troop number, and the badge they're working on. So if you would do that. Who wants to be first?
I guess I'm first.
Oh.
I'm Kai Lovell. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 1332. And these boys are here. I'll let them introduce what they're working on.
Great, thank you, Kyle.
I'm Ben Strong, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Thank you, Ben.
I'm Ethan Hefner, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Great. Yes?
I'm Nick Hutchins, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm Quade Short, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Thank you, Quade. Are there any others? Oh, yes.
I'm Aaron Farr, and
Great, thank you, Aaron. Any others? All right. Thank you, Scouts. We're so glad that you're here. I hope you enjoy the council meeting and you learn a lot. And our second recognition, special recognition, is recognition of Captain John Jordan Peterson for completion of the Executive Fire Officer Program through the National Fire Academy, and Chief Gil Rodriguez is presenting.
Sure. Jordan, why don't you come up and join me? And stand back here as I give you all these accolades. Anyways, we really want to congratulate Jordan Peterson on achieving his Executive Fire Officer Program. This is really a big deal. Anybody who's gone through it, especially if you're just a regular guy, know how difficult it is. You have to go back to the Fire Academy once a year for 4 years for 2 weeks. So you leave your family. You've got a lot of studying to do, and the toughest part is every time you leave, you've got a research project to do, and it's quite difficult. It was quite difficult for me. I don't know about you. And so even when you graduate from the fire academy, you don't actually graduate till you complete that last project. And they're pretty tough. And I know you have to grade at least a 2.0, and I think Jordan got a couple of 4.0s. You know, it's just very typical. Anyways, it is a tough thing to do. And the program is really highly regarded amongst chief officers across the nation. One of the things that, if you look at like the Western Fire Chiefs, which kind of talks about fire departments, but it also puts jobs out there for which jobs are open. And just for a few of them, the city of Colton, California, looking for a deputy chief, bachelor's degree in a related field, and your EFO from the fire academy. North Kansas City for a fire chief, bachelor's degree, master's preferred, EFO's required. Gallatin Fire Protection District for a fire chief, associate's degree, and working on or enrolled in your executive fire officer. Beloit, Wisconsin for assistant chief, bachelor's, master's preferred, and completion of the executive fire officer. Now, I don't want you to get really excited about this one, but Laguna Beach, California for a fire chief, all right? Bachelor's, master's is desirable, as well as executive fire officer. That's not a bad deal. And so we really want to congratulate Jordan. And of course, Jordan's kind of an overachiever as well, because as well as having his executive fire officer, he's got his master's degree too. And if that wasn't enough, he's got his doctorate as well. So he is kind of an overachiever, but we're really proud of him. He also speaks across the nation on firefighter mental health. So he's got it. And to let you know how the executive fire officer works, nationwide, and actually worldwide, but mostly in the nation, there are 3,934 graduates. In the state of Utah, there are 40 graduates. In Murray City, there are 4 graduates. So that's kind of a big deal. And before I get Jordan to come up here and say something, I want to thank the council for their support in higher education. I really want to thank Mayor Blair Camp, former chief, Fire Chief Blair Camp, who has his executive fire officer. But not only that, he's encouraged us to seek out that education, because it does do a lot. And those research projects we bring back to the fire department, and we use them, and it's a good deal, and it's really good to have done with. So with that, I want to give Jordan his certificate, although I did find out that they spelled his name wrong.
Oh.
And Brittany, I hope you have a wall big enough, because I gave John to do it, and we had to have it. So with that, congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
And then after you say a word or two, please introduce your family.
Yeah. Let me actually start out with that. First off, I want to say thanks. I don't know if I should take all those job offers as a shove out the door. I don't know. I guess I better look into those. But first off, I'll introduce my family that came up. My wife, Brittany's here with our 2 boys. When I started this program, we had 1 boy who was in diapers. Now I've got 2 kids, and I hate to say, but the sacrifice with programs like this kind of come at the family level. So thanks to her, obviously. I've also got my sister here and my mother as well. Obviously, big parts of my life. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't really kind of point out some significant family members of mine, which are all the fire guys here today. All these people in uniform. We don't work with coworkers. We don't work with associates. We work with friends and family members. So it's these guys who really kind of took a big support role when it came to that. Of course, I want to thank the city as well. Like Chief pointed out, we work in an organization that encourages development, and I've been crazy enough to take that and run with it and kind of chase some degrees that I can assure you are not needed to fight fire. But nonetheless, really, I hope kind of make an impact in how we deliver our service and how we kind of hopefully make an impact within the citizens here. So thank you to all of you for the support. I hope to really use it well within the city and support the citizens well with it. So thank you.
Is he leaving? Yes, Mayor Camp.
May I make a comment?
Yes, I thought you might want to.
Yeah. It's really special to be here for this because, as Chief Rodriguez mentioned, I'm also a graduate of the Executive Fire Officer Program. But even better than that, I took the chance a few years ago and hired Jordan, and I'm very proud of that decision. And he's just been awesome, and I just want to offer my congratulations. I know what he's gone through to work on this. I was going to say award. It's not an award. This designation of graduating from the Executive Fire Officer Program. So congratulations, and I encourage all of you who are in the fire service to take a look at doing that. And it's a great program. So Jordan, thank you and congratulations. Thanks for making me proud.
Thanks again, Jordan. You make us all very proud.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, now we come to our citizen comments.
They want to leave. Look at them.
Oh, no.
They looked at you to give the okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was great.
All right, now we come to the citizen comments part of our council meeting. And these comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise approved. And so do we have, also, we are not having any public hearings. So this is the only citizen comments we'll have this council meeting. Do we have citizen comments? Yes. Yes, you. Please, it's preferable that you go there. If you would state your name also and your
David
address.
Sundwall, I'm a Murray resident, and I just have a personal statement. I'm not representing anyone but me. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to say a few words, and thank you for your service to the city. I was born and raised in Murray, attended Arlington Grade School, right here, and Murray Junior and high schools, but I've lived most of my adult life away, returning home in 2005. I've lived in great cities, Boston, San Francisco, and in the Washington, D.C. area for 24 years. However, none of these places had the quality of life, nor, in my opinion, the quality of the people that Murray has. I am here tonight to make a simple request, and that is for you to do what you can to preserve the old Murray First Ward or the Vernon Academy. In my opinion, this iconic building is an important symbol of our past, our heritage, and a standing tribute to the dedication, faith, and industry of our forebears. It represents to me what makes Murray a special place to live, a place where we welcome progress, growth, diversity, and inclusion of all newcomers, while at the same time retaining our appreciation for our traditions. My affection for this building is personal, in that I attended church there as a child and loved it when classes were held in the tower. I fantasized about being in a medieval castle, and in the process didn't pay much attention to the lessons. And I loved the large, beautiful stained glass window, which fortunately has been preserved and is in an LDS chapel a few blocks east on Vine Street. I recognize that my interest in preserving this old building church is personal, is emotional, is not based on consideration of economic opportunities nor legal rights. However, I respectfully request that you do what you can to preserve this building, or at least part of it. As we embrace the future and improve our city, let's not erase our past in the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Janice Strobel. I live at 4912 Wasatch. So I just want to start with a question. What is the last public building that we have remaining that's from Murray's founding period? Well, the answer is why I am here. I am speaking for Preserve Murray to share solutions with you tonight that allow this last public building from our founding period to move into Murray's vibrant future, rather than losing such rich history that we can never bring back. This last public building remaining is the Murray First Ward Church, now known as Mount Vernon Academy. When the demolition of this building was approved by the Planning Commission, the Commission was told the alternative to integrate this building into the Assisted Living Center development was not possible for a few reasons, but I'll name a couple. Unable to draw up a feasible plan that would integrate the church. They weren't able to draw up one. And even if a feasible plan were drawn, it was claimed that restoring the church would be way too costly. But tonight we're going to show you alternatives that do exist. Preserve Murray has received drawings and cost analyses from Alan Roberts, an experienced and highly regarded preservation architect. We have two alternatives to complete demolition of the church, alternatives as opposed to demolition. These alternatives reconfigure the proposed building program and enable the preservation of the original 1907 portion of the First Ward Chapel. So first we're going to show you alternative 1 that shows the historic chapel being integrated into the new development. And I know there's a lot of detail, but we're just going to give you a rough overview right tonight. And then alternative 2 shows the historic chapel being preserved separately from the development. And the next thing is a cost analysis that's here for review. And there's a lot to look at that. So we just invite you to look further into this analysis. You're going to have handouts being given to you that's of exactly what you're seeing tonight. We ask you to look further into that at a later time. And I do want to quote this from Alan Roberts. Renovation of well-constructed structures like the 1907 Murray Church is less expensive than comparable new construction, usually by about 20%. This is because the excavation, footings, and foundations, structural walls, floors, and roof have already been built and long ago paid for, not needing to be paid for again. Even if the building is structurally, mechanically, and electrically upgraded, given new architectural finishes and brought entirely up to code, the cost of these improvements is only about 80% of the cost of new construction. So I do want you to notice that in this cost analysis, there is showing a cost savings of $1 million as opposed to doing all new construction in that area that the original 1907 church sits at. So while Preserve Murray believes that the preservation of as many of the buildings as possible is the most desirable outcome, we believe that these alternatives present pragmatic and acceptable options and prove that preservation is a viable component of new development. These alternatives shown here are no-risk options for the developer because they allow for the development of the same building program as initially proposed with no additional capital cost. With what we have outlined here, there is no practical reason to not preserve the chapel. We urge the city to consider these alternatives and exert all possible pressure on the developer to rethink their proposal and accommodate preservation. The city has nothing to lose and so much to gain. What a remarkable contribution this preserved building will give to our downtown redevelopment. And so I finish with another question. Why not? Thank you.
All right, any further citizen comments? Yes.
My name is David Ammett, and I'm here representing Preservation Utah, formerly known as the Utah Heritage Foundation. As a preservationist myself, I have watched a lot of historic buildings come and go here in the valley and in the state of Utah. And one thing I note is that any building here in Utah and beyond of interest goes through a cycle. They're built and they're loved by the community. But then that community, the members of the community disappear, they move elsewhere, they pass on, and the community that replaces it inherits the buildings that were built by the forebears. And oftentimes these inheritors lose track of what made those buildings significant. And this is where the buildings get threatened, because oftentimes these inheritors of the first generation's efforts don't see value in those efforts. And in many cases, these buildings at this point get torn down. And this is where I feel the Murray First Ward is right now. But when these buildings are rehabilitated and made to work for the community again, they become, once again, much loved touchstones of that community's past, but also its present and its future. This is especially possible in the case of the First Ward, which, as Preservation Murray has shown, can be rehabilitated to work on behalf of Murray's community here in the present as well as generations into the future. So I urge you to take seriously the proposal of Preserve Murray to rehabilitate this building and do everything in your power to make sure that this rehabilitation happens. Thank you very much.
Do we have any more citizen comments?
I got a comment, and I'm not going to go up front if you don't mind.
No, you need to. Yes, please do. Yes. And state your name and address.
My name's Kai Lovell, and I live in Walden Meadows. I guess that's where we live, right, Bob? Walden Hills, 882 Walden Hills. But my only comment, I didn't know anything about this being tore down, this building being tore down, and what we're talking about. But when we walked in here tonight as a scout troop, we actually had a conversation with regards to buildings and things that are no longer here. I'm from Sandy, is where I was born and raised, and my elementary school's gone, my middle school's gone, my high school's gone. None of the things that I remember as a kid still exist. The stacks at Murray High, right? That was what I knew as the area of Murray. It's now Costco. Okay, that's what we know. If there's a chance to maintain and hold some of our historic value, it's a value to the generations coming behind us, because they don't get to know what we knew as kids. They don't get to see the things that made us who we are. And so, you know, I just wanted to stand up and say, my vote's to keep it. If we can keep it, we need to do that. Too many things are going away from our past into the future, and it's not the same. And with that changes our mentalities, it changes our outlook on life, and it changes the way that our kids are raised. So that's what I had to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any more comments? Any citizen comments? If you would like to make a comment, you need to go to the front and state your name. You still need to go to the, yes. Yes, it's a matter of record for us.
Being a shy and withdrawn retired colonel in the Army, at any rate, my question is, if we preserve this building, and I'm very much in favor of preservation of our history, what would be the function of the preserved building?
Thank you.
You don't answer.
All right.
My name is Susan Carroll. Before I was a Carroll, I was a Halliday, and my family grew up using that chapel. from the time it was built. I would love to see the chapel preserved and used as a part of the older citizen housing that is supposed to replace it. It would be a lovely place to hold concerts and programs and church services rather than holding them in the cafeteria where the sound bounces and echoes and it's not really a conducive place. I would love to see it incorporated. That would be a real feature for the property, and the citizens, the people who were living there would love it, and that would be a selling feature for families looking for a place for their loved one to have a genuine chapel. And it could be, of course, non-denominational. There's nothing there that would scream any religion. It could be easily a non-denominational spot, and it would be lovely. And I really think this would be a great feature for this new project. And if you replace the colored glass, I mean, it wouldn't have to be stained glass, but just replace the windows with beautiful colored glass, I think it would be just a lovely spot. The acoustics are great. It would be an awesome thing to keep. Thank you.
Thank you.
I learned that if I need to say something, I need to stand up here.
Yes, please state your name and address.
Damian Dayton, 795 Woodshire Circle in the Southwood neighborhood. Just a citizen with a loud child in the back. My wife and I wanted to pack up our kid and come here because we drive by the building every day and we love it. I don't have much more to say other than that. There's very little left of this community that connects it to its history, and it means a lot to us as citizens to be able to see that and feel like this community is something more than a place that you drive through, and that there is a unique and powerful history to the place. We both have family connections that go back generations to the area, and we would like our children to see some of the same things here. So I also hate the idea of telling somebody what to do with their own property, but we just wanted to have our voices heard, and that we really care and feel deeply about this building, not just because of the building, but what it represents in this area. And it's so close to being the heart of Murray, and the building complexes have so much rich history and represent more than just the building itself, more than the church that it once was or the academy that it once was. But it's close to the heart and the epicenter of the city. And as State Street is changing, the area around is changing, it's kind of one of the last few vestiges of, as we're trying to hang on to a community that's walkable and relatable. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad you decided to stop in. Okay. I'll close the citizen comments portion and continue on. We'll do the consent agenda. We have one issue, and 7.1 is to consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Brent Gardner to the Murray Library Board of Trustees in a District 4 position to complete the remainder of a term to expire June 30th, 2019. Mayor Camp.
Thank you. We have an opening on the library board. I believe it was Pat Griffith's position. Is that right, Kim? It was. Oh, okay. Anyway, we also have Nick Skeen, who represents District 4, who is building a new home and it will be moving to District 5. So we would propose for Nick to become the at-large member, and for Brent Gardner to take his place in District 4. And Kim and I had the opportunity to interview Brent and found him to be a great fit. I know he's an avid reader. And Brent, did I see you? Oh, yeah, okay. Would you mind standing? This is Brent Gardner, and we present him to you for the vacancy on the library board.
Welcome. Nice to meet you, Brent.
And you have his resume.
Okay, also is the other part supposed to be part of the motion, the Nick Keene, or is that's not? Okay.
Just want to know if he's got any overdue books. All right.
All right. Are there any questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we confirm the mayor's appointment of Brent Gardner to the Murray Library Board of Trustees in a District 4 position to complete the remainder of a term to expire June 30th, 2019.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Do we have a discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Jennifer, would you take the roll?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. No public hearings, unfinished business, new business. First new business is consider an ordinance adopting the project area plan and project area budget for the ore sampling mill community reinvestment area. Tim Tingy presenting.
Council members, this proposal was addressed at the redevelopment agency meeting about 3 hours ago. We held a public hearing regarding adoption of a resolution for the plan and budget that we're considering tonight. As part of state law, there's a requirement that the city council has to also evaluate and pass an ordinance adopting a plan, and that's what's before you tonight. The area is the ore sampling community reinvestment project area. This is a map bounded roughly on the north by 5300 south, on the west side by 300 west, and then over on the other side where the Cottonwood Street overpass comes and down to Anderson Avenue. This is roughly the area that we're talking about. So as part of the ordinance that you have before you that you're considering tonight, there's a requirement that the council identify the project area plan and budget, and it has to satisfy a number of items, including providing a public benefit, being economically sound and feasible, conform to the city's general plan, promote the public health and safety and welfare of this area. We've done extensive analysis of this area. There's been a blight study that was conducted, and the area as a whole was determined to have blight elements. And because of that, there is a need for reinvestment in the area. So with this plan in place, with the budget that is included in this, any new investments in the area with tax collections that occur because of those new investments, those tax collections can be reinvested into the area. The plan also identifies what we would use those funds for. It would include enhancing pedestrian ways with possible pedestrian overpasses over rail areas. Definitely an environmental component to clean up environmental conditions, which we know are out on the site. Demolition and acquisition elements for the area, as well as road and any other elements that will help create and induce investment. So based on that, staff is recommending approval of the project area plan and the budget that is being proposed tonight. Once again, I've mentioned that the taxing entities, in the RDA meeting I mentioned this, the taxing entities agree to this, as well as the redevelopment agency board has considered this and approved their resolution. So we're recommending approval of the ordinance tonight.
Great. Thank you, Tim. If there are no questions, I would consider a motion.
I'd make a motion that we adopt an ordinance adopting the project area plan and project area budget for the ore sampling mill community reinvestment area.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none. Jennifer, would you take the roll?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. All right, number 2 is consider a resolution authorizing the execution of a telecommunications franchise agreement between MCI Metro Thank you. Oh, my goodness. MCI Metro Access Transmission Services, Verizon Access Transmission Services, and Murray City. Frank Nakamura.
Yeah, thank you. So under the Federal Telecommunications Act, the city cannot close its right-of-ways to usage by any telecommunications company. However, we can regulate how they use it in order to protect our right-of-ways and other companies that use our right-of-ways. And that's the purpose of the franchise agreement. That there is no fee involved in this because there is a municipal telecommunications tax that is imposed. This is actually a renewal of an agreement with MCI Access Transmission Services that has expired. So this is actually a renewal. We've approved a similar agreement previously. And so we're asking for the approval of franchise agreement.
Thank you, Frank. All right. If no one has questions for Frank, I would consider a motion.
I'll move that we approve the resolution authorizing the execution of a telecommunications franchise agreement between MCI Metro Access Transmission Service, DBA Verizon Access Transmission Service, and Murray City.
Good job. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, Jennifer, will you take the roll?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, third is to consider a resolution authorizing the execution of a telecommunications franchise agreement between Mobilite LLC and Murray City. Frank Nakamura presenting.
Yeah, again, this is to authorize the use of our right-of-ways, again, subject to conditions that will protect our right-of-ways and protect other users. This is a little different, and this is a small cell. They refer to as a small cell franchise agreement. This is not subject to the municipal telecommunications tax, so there is a fee involved with this use. There are no end users with this particular usage. So it's a franchise agreement. There is a fee to cover some of the costs of the use.
Thank you, Frank. Are there any questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'll consider a motion.
I'll make a motion adopting a resolution authorizing the execution of a telecommunications franchise agreement between Mobilite LLC and Murray City.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, there has been a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Number 4 is to consider an ordinance amending sections 2.06.010 and 2.06.030 of the City Code related to city officer bonds. Frank Nakamura, it's yours again.
Yes, as we were preparing our insurance, renewing our insurance, these bonds came up, and we noticed that this is absolutely kind of obsolete in regards to what state law requires. And so we were getting bonds on certain officers that we didn't need to get a bond, particularly given that we have an umbrella policy on officers anyway. So what we're asking is to amend the ordinance, eliminating certain bond requirements for certain offices. We did update, and this is patterned after state law, the bond that is required on the city treasurer. And this helps us in terms of the premiums that we have to pay on our insurance. There is no need for these bonds if it's not required by state law.
Okay, makes sense. Are there questions for Frank? If none, I'll consider a motion.
I make the motion to adopt the amendment, section 2.06.010 and 2.06.030 of the city code related to the city officer bonds.
I'll second that.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Oh, these are easy. All right, Jennifer, would you take the roll?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Okay, our last one is 10.5. Consider a resolution adopting the regular meeting schedule of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2018. And if there are no questions, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that we approve a resolution adopting the regular meeting schedule of the Murray City Municipal Council for the calendar year 2018.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Good. There has been a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah, I have one observation.
Okay.
I know that we're tied to time constraint based on state ordinance for adopting the budget, but budget always ends up conflicting with APPA, and we always are concerned about having enough council members here.
That's true.
If we plan this far ahead, is there any chance we could put that second adoption date on the 12th? And then we don't have that issue at all.
I like it.
Yeah. Yes,
Can we
Jan?
not do the 12th?
One problem with that is we don't get the numbers from the state for the tax levy
Until when?
until the 15th.
Could you call them and ask them to speed it up?
Is it possible to adopt the budget pending, Frank, pending the receiving of the tax levy? I mean, we know what the idea is going to be, but we don't get the final numbers. Otherwise, we run into this problem all the time, or we got to make sure nobody travels. Everybody's back on Tuesday, which may be the easier way to do it. Yeah.
No, it really isn't possible. I mean, the
Okay.
certified tax rate is central to the budget. Maybe.
Were you listening in? We were talking about you.
I would defer to the finance director on that.
Denise.
The issue is, can we adopt a budget without having the certified tax rates from the county available to us?
Pending reception of.
I'm reluctant to do that. I just don't. I don't see how that
Conflict date
is
is
even
the
possible.
June date or the May date?
The conflict
The
is
June-
the
June
June
date.
date. We have a June 19th meeting to adopt, and APPA is June 15th to the 20th. So then as a council, I would urge the council to be back and in attendance on that date.
On Tuesday?
And whoever goes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can encourage that.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I definitely won't have numbers till the 15th, and it'd be easier to move the APPA thing than it would be to get the state to move
That's
faster.
what we
Let me know
heard.
how that works.
Thank you, finance director.
Okay. Then we'll go with the first motion. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, now we're to the mayor's report.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of things briefly. It is November and the leaves are falling. Murray residents, as for the information of those that are here or maybe watching, may dump their leaves in the dumpsters located over here at the parking lot west of the Parks and Recreation office. And these dumpsters will be available through November. So other garbage, yard waste, and commercial use is not accepted, but leaves, good place to get rid of them. Also, speaking of the Park Center will have a few changes in their hours for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. excuse me, on Thanksgiving Eve. They'll close at 6 p.m. and reopen on Thanksgiving morning from 8 till noon. And then on Friday after Thanksgiving, they'll be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So get over and work off all those turkey and mashed potatoes and what have you. But so just for your information. Also, this was mentioned in the Committee of the Whole meeting earlier, but I want to mention it again for the public. Tomorrow afternoon and evening at the Murray Theater, we will be holding two meetings, one at 4 p.m. and one at 7 p.m. They'll both be the same format. We're just making one available later for those that can't come at 4. These meetings will be conducted by MJSA architects, and the purpose of the meetings will be to receive input from arts groups on the repurposing of the Murray Theater and some of the possible uses of the theater. And of course, you are all invited to attend one of the meetings, and would love to see you there, as well as members of the public. Again, the focus is on the arts and the use for arts groups. Also, I just want to make a comment about the election. It's been a couple of years since we, as a council, the council voted to change to vote by mail. And I found it very interesting as I was looking at numbers today for the latest update on this last election. I'm incredibly impressed with the numbers, the percentages of people who have voted in this election as compared with previous, before we went to vote by mail. We are up to, Murray is up to 46.1% voter turnout of registered voters. And I know that's less than half, but that's incredible compared to what we have done in the past. And in fact, District 2, because the race in District 2, we have the numbers on that as well, 49.5% voter turnout in District 2. And I just think that's really, really commendable. And I think that going to the vote by mail was a very good decision. So I just wanted to mention that. And then finally, on a personal note, it's November 14th, and I can't think of a better way to spend my anniversary. It's our wedding anniversary today with a few of my good friends here. 42 years of marriage, and it's okay for her to be somewhere else, and I'm here tonight with my friends. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in. Do you have any questions of the mayor tonight?
Congratulations, 42, wow.
Yeah, congratulations. I do have a question or more of an observation. That I love the service of dumping leaves in the park.
Yeah.
The dumpsters are filled up rapidly. They're also very tall, and if you're not tall and strong, getting full bags of leaves up into the dumpsters is difficult at best. So contrary to the signs that say don't pile it around the dumpsters, they're full and there's piles everywhere. I see people coming in with pickups stacked high, and I see this because I was one of them. But I don't know if we can do anything to alleviate that. Certainly our
Very good.
like that, yeah. Hey, I looked that word up. Anyway, because our crews have to go and pick all of that up eventually, and you know, I know the dumpsters cost money, but we probably use twice what we have in there, and we'd still fill them. Just as I said, an observation.
Yeah, we'll address that with the parks folks and see if we can do something about it.
Okay.
My comment was happy anniversary.
Yes.
And congratulations on your election, Dale. Congratulations on yours. And my anniversary is next week. I'm way younger than you.
True.
Not much.
All right, and with that, we'll be adjourned.